details, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. As a child, I was taken by the prophets and raised up to the sun and told to mediate to the masses, to navigate the news just for you, to keep you informed. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Woo-wee! Let's get to it! Story number 1. Immigration issues are creeping back into the news. After a migrant exodus surge, Mexico is reportedly pressing the United States to reform its immigration policies. Migrants are fleeing poor living conditions and attempting to migrate to the United States. And some articles are saying it's because of the new administration. Now, each administration has dealt with immigration issues differently, and it appears that Biden plans to deal with the issues a little bit more passively by offering illegals, immigrants who are already here, a pathway to citizenship. Mexico remains hopeful that Biden will agree to work with them and other countries when it comes to the issues. Biden's immigration policies are already causing division on both sides. So keep an eye on story number 1. That's why I made it this week. Story number 2. Drug bust proves that the war on drugs is still on. Using business activity as a front, Spanish police have seized over 2 tons of cocaine that was hidden inside of charcoal. Now, 12 people were reportedly involved in the large-scale drug smuggling network, in which the article in a CNN report connects Paraguay and Brazil. The report said that the logistics network used the importing of charcoal, rice, molasses, and medical products as a ploy to illegally ship cocaine. Now, apparently, those in charge of the network recruited and used people to run their operation, which also included money laundering. Families all across the world have been plagued by relatives addicted to drugs. That's why the story made it this week, because people are tired, and they're tired of trying to get their relatives to kick the habit. Big headline, big developing news. Story number 3. There is still a high demand for COVID-19 vaccines. At the moment, vaccination and herd immunity seems to be the answer to defeat COVID-19. But some states are complaining that supply can't meet the demand for the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the UN is now worried about rich countries hogging up all of the COVID-19 vaccines from poorer countries. Now, as more people seek to get vaccinated, this story is still developing. So keep an eye on story number 3. That's why I made it this week. Story number 4. Is the world more dangerous after Trump's 4 years? Big headline. Now, one analysis in a CNN article highlights some concerns from analysts who saw Trump's strategy as a plan that would make the world less safe. Now, this article is worth a read because it goes in detail explaining the flaws in the U.S. isolation strategy from the rest of the world that was brought on by Trump. Now, the article also points out how the U.S. has become more divided with domestic threats stemming from wars fought back centuries ago. Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea were also mentioned in the article. Now, apparently, Iran is advancing in its nuclear enrichment programs, and China is moving on with or without America. There has also been little progress made with North Korea, besides no missiles being tested, even after Trump was the first president to meet with Kim Jong-un, and Russia is also moving on. They also made it into some of these headlines. They're moving on with their cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns, yielding to an end to the INF treaty and erosion of the erosion of open skies. This is what was in this treaty, which could make the world more dangerous militarily. So this is a big headline. Now, the article also highlights the key challenges ahead for Joe Biden. The article concludes with a need for more diplomatic approach. So they're saying that there's a need for a more diplomatic approach, meaning trying to stay neutral and trying to be friendly with other surrounding countries that pose a threat to the United States. Another developing story says that Uganda has apparently accused the United States of meddling to subvert their elections after security reportedly blocked the U.S. ambassador from the home of opposition leader Bobby Wine. Now, there is something happening inside the story. That's why this is a big headline, because it's actually showing what Biden's foreign policy could look like under this administration and under the new threats that the United States pose. So the question of, is the world more dangerous after Trump's 4 years? The question may be answered yes, and this poses a challenge for the new administration. Well, those are our top 4 stories that made it this week. I'll be right back with the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. So don't go anywhere. You're on the Mediator with me, Brian West. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Woosah. Getting in touch with my feminine side that I do not have, so let's waste no time. Woo! Let's get to it. Story number 5. Analyzing the two-party approach is causing conflict every day in America. Now, with the election of Joe Biden, some Americans are concerned about the rage involved in having a two-party system. There has been talk about how the two-party system started when America was first founded and why some things may need to be adjusted to meet the demands and real needs of the American people today. Now, some are blaming the two-party system on the current problems that we have now in America. The problem seems to be on the importance of maintaining a stable, less chaotic country, which we seem to have. We just saw the White House get stormed, and we see riots and protests almost on a daily basis in 2020. Now, as news stories develop, every week a lot of people are blaming the two-party system structure for the current divide that we have in America. This story is still developing. That's why it made it in the top 4. Big headline. Big developing story. Story number 6. The new main concern seems to be what form of government works. There have been multiple stories circulating about a form of government that works for everyone, a new form. Now, there are even 1 to 2 hour long lectures on YouTube referencing the history and what forms of government have lasted throughout the ages. Now, this story will be big in comparing Trump's idea of government compared to Joe Biden's, because some people believe that the United States government should be operated more like a business rather than a two-party system that decides what to do with taxpayer money while also policing the globe. Now, currently there is a mixture of how the United States of America's government functions compared to total socialism and total communism. Now, the current push for small government may have come to a screeching halt now that Democrats have the most pens in Washington. That means they have more power now. Now, as this story develops and people see a growing need for more government, many may stray away from self-ownership by relying on more government, which is a problem. The government can only do so much with taxpayer money that is due to have. Now, this story is developing and almost made it to the top 2 this week, so keep an eye on story number 6. Big headline, big developing news story. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. How important is the Keystone Oil Pipeline project? There are multiple angles to look at when observing the Keystone Oil Pipeline project. You can look at it from the environmentalist approach, which looks looks at the maintenance factors. You can also counter that idea with the fact that, like the pipeline, oil is already underground. You can also look at the property factor and the danger it would put landowners in. Now, the oil industry activists say that the industry is cleaner than it's ever been, and the business opportunities that would come along with completing this project is what has this story gaining some steam. Because if you stop the project, you're talking about jobs and other things that come along with this project. Now, there are also numerous pros and cons that have weight to this story, that add weight to this story. So now think about this. Now, every year, numerous books about the dirty side of the oil business are published. So it is clear that the Biden administration will have their hands full with the decision on pulling back plans for the Keystone Oil Pipeline project, which would run the line pumping about 830,000 barrels of heavy crude oil from Alberta, Canada, to refineries around the Gulf of Mexico. So you can see why story number 7 is such a big headline. These are jobs, the Keystone Pipeline project. These are opportunities. This is business, the American business, and on top of that, is pumping oil from underneath the ground from one part of the continent to the other, and it could provide all types of new ideas, innovative ideas. So, but it also has some cons. So that's why story number 7 is such a big headline, and that's why I made it to the top 2 this week. Keep an eye on story number 7. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made it in this week. 1 year later, COVID-19 is still a problem. The strategic plan to deal with COVID-19 compared to Trump and Biden is already taking center stage. They're comparing the two. Biden is set to reverse already Trump's travel ban on visitors from much of Europe and Brazil. Now, as the virus seems to be peaking, COVID-19 cases are up in the United States with well over 400,000 deaths. And now the attention is on what is being done to stop another pandemic from emerging again ever in China or any place else. Now, at the moment, the Biden administration doesn't seem to have stated that they have a plan for preventing something like this from happening ever again. Now, worldwide deaths have topped 2 million. This story is still developing. That's why I made it to the top this week. COVID-19 is still a problem. Well, those are our top 8 local headlines and top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I like to thank all the news outlets, the media, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle. So if you want to show us some support, all you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, read something, watch something, or just sponsor a program. Well, I am done for this week. I'm getting ready to look over 200 or more stories next week just to keep you informed. So thank you for tuning in this week, and thank you for tuning in to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Have a good week, everybody. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.